All right, so you're thinking about adding Novo Nordisk to your portfolio.
Yeah, it's been a hot topic lately.
And honestly, who isn't, right? It's been making headlines.
Definitely a lot of buzz.
We've got a ton of research here to help us unpack this.
Oh, yeah.
We've got analysis from Motley Fool and Morningstar,
Nice.
some technical insights from TradingView, a bit of company history from Wikipedia,
Sounds thorough.
and even a breakdown of what an ADR is.
Oh, right, because that's how Novo Nordisk trades on the NYSE.
Yeah, exactly.
ADRs, those are American Depository Receipts, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, they're a way for U.S. investors to buy shares of foreign companies
Makes sense.
without all the hassle of international trading.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of like a simplified gateway to owning a piece of Novo Nordisk, even though they're based in Denmark.
Okay, so that explains that.
Yeah.
Now on to the main attraction, Novo Nordisk itself.
Right.
They're known as like the diabetes care company.
Absolutely. They're the global leader,
Right.
and they're making some serious waves in the obesity treatment market, too,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
especially with Wegovy. You know, they're blockbuster drugs.
Yeah, Wegovy's everywhere.
We're talking tripling the number of patients using their GLP-1 treatment.
Trickle.
Yeah, in just 3 years.
Wow, that's huge.
It-
What are GLP-1 treatments anyway?
So GLP-1, that stands for glucagon-like peptide 1.
Okay.
It's a naturally occurring hormone.
Mm-hmm.
It helps regulate blood sugar. And Novo Nordisk has developed a range of these incredibly successful medications
Okay.
that mimic the effects of GLP-1,
Interesting.
helping people with diabetes manage their condition.
Right.
And now they're proving effective for weight loss as well.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
So they're dominating a market that's only getting bigger.
right.
What does that mean for their financials?
Well, their recent performance is nothing short of stellar.
Okay, I like the sound of that.
Revenue is up 24% year over year,
Wow. 24%.
with their obesity care segment leading the charge at a whopping 44% growth.
44%.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It is.
It makes sense why everyone's so excited about them.
Right.
But let's talk valuation.
Okay.
Is this hype justified or is the stock overpriced?
That's where things get interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
Morningstar, known for their in-depth analysis,
Mm-hmm.
they put Novo Nordisk's stock at a 24% premium
24%.
over their calculated fair value.
So what does that mean?
Essentially, they're saying the market might be getting a little ahead of itself.
So is Morningstar saying it's a bad investment?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
It's more of a cautionary flag.
Got it.
Are investors overestimating Novo Nordisk's potential, or is there even more growth on the horizon that we're not seeing yet?
That's the question, isn't it?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
To answer that, we have to look at what's driving this growth.
Okay.
Is it just the Wegovy craze, or is there more to the story?
Good point. What else is going on with them?
Right.
Are they just riding the coattails of Wegovy, or are they innovating and expanding into new areas?
Well, they're definitely not resting on their laurels.
That's good.
Novo Nordisk is pouring resources into research and development,
Yeah.
especially expanding the uses for their already proven drugs.
Like what?
For example, Wegovy recently got FDA approval
Oh, wow.
for use in patients at risk of cardiovascular problems.
That's a smart move.
Yeah,
Obesity and heart health are closely linked.
very true.
So that expands their potential market significantly.
Absolutely.
What else are they doing to grow their business?
On top of that, they're making a strategic push into the massive Chinese market.
China. Wow.
Imagine the potential there.
Huge.
It's a huge opportunity.
So they're firing on all cylinders.
It seems like it.
Market dominance, impressive financials, and a smart growth strategy.
Right.
But we can't forget Morningstar's concerns about valuation.
Yeah, that's definitely something to consider.
What does Motley Fool think?
Interestingly, Motley Fool also points out that Novo Nordisk's price-to-earnings ratio?
Price-to-earnings ratio.
Yeah, which is a key metric for valuing companies.
Right.
It's high compared to the average for the S&P 500.
Okay.
But here's the catch. It's actually the lowest it's been all year.
Oh, so the stock has taken a bit of a dip recently.
Exactly. And Motley Fool sees this as a potential buying opportunity. They believe that the recent sell-off, which started late last summer, might be a chance for long-term investors to get in at a more attractive price.
Okay, so we've got two different takes on the valuation.
Right. Two sides of the coin.
It sounds like a classic case of risk versus reward.
For sure.
What about acquisitions?
Oh, yeah.
I know Motley Fool mentioned Novo Nordisk has been on a buying spree.
They haven't been shy about acquiring companies.
Like who?
Corvidia Therapeutics,
Okay.
Hemisphere Technologies, Discerna Pharmaceuticals.
Wow.
The list goes on.
That's a lot of companies. Are they diversifying or are they just trying to keep up with the latest trends?
That's the key question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are these strategic acquisitions that bolster their existing portfolio,
Right.
or are they spreading themselves too thin? Only time will tell,
Yeah.
but it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
It definitely adds another layer of complexity to the whole picture.
It does.
Now let's switch gears for a moment.
Okay.
Wikipedia mentioned that Novo Nordisk has a strong track record when it comes to social responsibility.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. Their commitment to ESG factors,
Yes.
environmental, social, and governance,
Okay.
is quite impressive.
In what way?
Well, they founded the World Diabetes Foundation.
Okay.
It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to improving diabetes care globally.
Oh, wow.
And they were instrumental in pushing for a United Nations resolution on diabetes.
A UN resolution.
Yeah.
That's huge. I didn't realize they were that involved on a global level.
It really highlights their dedication to addressing the diabetes epidemic.
Wow.
It's actually the only disease besides HIV/AIDS to have a dedicated UN resolution.
That's really impressive.
Yeah.
But I also recall reading about some controversies surrounding their marketing practices. There was something about them being suspended from a trade association in the UK.
Yes. They faced allegations of offering inappropriate incentives to healthcare professionals
Okay.
to prescribe their products.
Hmm.
This resulted in their suspension from the Association of the British Pharmaceutical Industry.
That's a pretty serious accusation.
Yeah.
How did Novo Nordisk respond to that?
They acknowledged the issue
Okay.
and stated that they were committed to upholding the highest ethical standards in their marketing practices. They've also been working to improve transparency
Yeah.
and strengthen their internal controls to prevent similar incidents from happening again.
It seems like they're taking steps to address the issue,
Right.
but it definitely raises concerns about their corporate culture and potential risks for investors.
Yeah, for sure.
And we can't forget the political heat they've been facing over drug pricing in the U.S.
Absolutely. U.S. lawmakers have been scrutinizing the significant price discrepancies between what Americans pay for medications compared to other countries.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Novo Nordisk has been called out specifically for charging considerably higher prices for their drugs in the U.S.
That's a hot button issue for sure.
It is.
How has Novo Nordisk responded to these concerns?
They argue that the higher prices in the U.S. reflect the higher costs of research and development,
Okay.
as well as the complexities of the U.S. healthcare system.
Right.
However, critics argue that these explanations don't fully justify the price discrepancies, and they're calling for greater transparency and potential price controls.
It's a complex issue with no easy answers,
Yeah, for sure.
but it's definitely a risk factor for investors to consider.
Yes. The political and regulatory landscape surrounding drug pricing is constantly evolving, and it's something investors need to monitor closely.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah,
The good, the bad, and the complex.
definitely.
What's the bottom line?
Right.
What are the main pros and cons of investing in Novo Nordisk? So for someone like me trying to decide if Novo Nordisk belongs in my portfolio, what's the verdict?
Well, it really comes down to your personal risk tolerance
Right.
and investment goals.
Of course.
On the positive side,
Yeah.
you have a company with a dominant market position in a rapidly growing sector.
Okay.
Their financials are strong,
Good.
and their commitment to R&D suggests they're serious about staying ahead of the curve.
Right.
Plus, their focus on ESG initiatives is a plus for many investors.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
But there's that, but again, what are the downsides I need to weigh against all that?
exactly. The high valuation is a concern.
Okay.
Even with their strong performance,
Yeah.
it's possible the stock price is getting a bit ahead of reality.
I see.
And as with any pharmaceutical company,
Right.
there's always the risk of increased competition, new regulations, or unexpected setbacks in their research pipeline.
Right. Plus those controversies we talked about, the marketing practices and the drug pricing issues.
Yeah, those are definitely factors.
Those can definitely impact a company's reputation
Absolutely.
and ultimately their bottom line.
It's true. It's not a risk-free investment by any means.
Right.
You have to carefully consider your own comfort level
Yeah.
with these factors.
Okay, so it's a bit of a balancing act, high growth potential,
Definitely.
with some significant risks to consider.
Right.
What about their dividend policy?
Oh, yeah.
Do they share their profits with investors?
They do. Their current dividend yield is just under 1%.
Okay.
It's not the highest out there,
Right.
but it's been growing steadily with a 5-year compound annual growth rate of almost 19%.
So decent dividend with a solid track record of growth.
Yeah.
What about share buybacks?
Let me see.
Are they doing any of that?
While they do have share buyback programs in place, their primary focus seems to be reinvesting those profits back into the business to fuel further growth.
That makes sense, especially with their aggressive acquisition strategy.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we wrap up,
Sure.
let's rewind a bit.
Okay.
Can you give us a quick overview of Novo Nordisk's history? It's a little background for context.
Of course, Novo Nordisk has deep roots going all the way back to the 1920s.
Wow, the 1920s.
In Denmark, where they began producing insulin.
Insulin, wow.
They've been pioneers in diabetes care ever since.
So they've been at the forefront of this field for almost a century.
Absolutely. And their 1989 merger with Nordisk Gentofte solidified their position as a global leader in diabetes care. Since then, they've strategically expanded their portfolio. Moving into obesity treatment, hemophilia care, and growth hormone therapy.
So many different areas.
Yeah.
And now they're riding the wave of the obesity treatment boom.
Right.
With Wegovy leading the charge. It's fascinating to see how they've evolved and adapted over time.
Indeed. And their recent acquisitions and investments show they're determined to stay at the forefront of these markets.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what the next chapter holds for them.
It certainly will. This has been a fascinating deep dive into Novo Nordisk.
It has been.
And I think we've uncovered a lot of valuable insights for our listeners.
I agree. It's a company with immense potential, but also some real challenges. Ultimately, the decision of whether or not to invest is a personal one.
Of course.
But hopefully we've provided the information you need to make an informed choice.
Exactly. It's all about understanding the opportunities and the risks.
For sure.
So to our listeners,
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Novo Nordisk?
Let us know.
Do you see them as a potential addition to your portfolio?
Yeah.
Let us know in the comment section on our YouTube channel.
And don't forget to subscribe while you're there.
Yeah.
We love getting your feedback and suggestions for future deep dives. What companies or topics should we tackle next? Tell us in the comments.
Until next time, happy investing, everyone.